Hey guys, it's me Kevin and welcome back to another AFL tipping video. This time I'll be doing AFL tipping on round 4. So to start off the week we head to the SCG as Sydney play the Western Bulldogs. I'll be tipping the Western Bulldogs. They came off an impressive win last week against GWS where they seem to be the hungrier team of the two. Sydney also came off a pretty impressive win against North Melbourne. And it is being played at the SCG, but you look back to round 4 last year, and Melbourne got their first win of the season against Sydney. I feel like a similar result will happen in the same time slot at the same ground this time against the Bulldogs. I just feel the Bulldogs, if the two teams are going to try, I feel like the Bulldogs' strength will outweigh Sydney's. I feel like they're the stronger side of the two, and if they bring the same hunger in which they did last week to the SCG, then I think the Bulldogs will take the win. Friday night at Spotless Stadium, GWS versus Collingwood. It's a weird one because right now I'll be tipping Collingwood because of how stringy their defence is. They've only scored 35, 36 and 37 in their first 3 rounds, just the 15 goals, which is quite a stringy defence. Stingy, I must say. However, I might change my tip back to the Giants under one condition. If they get stars like Toby Green, Whitfield, and who's the other one, Josh Kelly back, if they get those players back, I'll probably tip the Giants. 2 reasons. Collingwood will be having to travel to Sydney on the day, which hasn't exactly been a problem for some teams. But Collingwood don't usually go down too well in Sydney, so I'm tempted to tip the Giants on this one. I will tip Collingwood for now, but I'm tempted to swing back to the Giants if I can see improvement in their lineup. Saturday afternoon at Metricon Stadium, Port Adelaide versus the Eagles. I have it at 2 points. I have a feeling that it's going to be the After the Siren, but in reverse. We're going to get a taste of own medicine. The only other option is they absolutely blow us off the park, Port Adelaide. So it's either going to be a 2-point heartbreak or another 55-60 point win for the Power. I just feel that they're in a lot better form. Eagles just don't want to be there, which is why I think the latter is more likely. I don't know why it says 2 up there. It should be 52. But, yeah. I just feel West Coast don't want to be there. Port Adelaide, they're playing a lot better with a lot more intent. So I'm tipping the Power. Unfortunately, we're having a shocker. At Marvel Stadium, St Kilda versus Richmond. Surely this is the week Richmond bounce back. I mean, Saints could provide an upset, but they weren't exactly that great against Collingwood, let's mind you. It's at St Kilda's home ground, which will work towards them, but I think Richmond, they're too strong. They've got to bounce back sometime. They'll get Dustin Martin back for sure. So yeah, I think Richmond will get the win there. On Saturday night at Metricon Stadium, Gold Coast versus Fremantle. At the start of the year, I'd be tipping Fremantle, but Gold Coast, they're playing some impressive footy right now. And look, I don't want to get too ahead of them because they were playing the worst team and a team that didn't want to be there in the last 2 weeks. But they're playing Fremantle, it's another winnable game. And if Gold Coast keep the mindset that they've had in the last 2 weeks up and they keep playing the way they've been playing, especially Matt Rowell, then I think Gold Coast might be able to get a win against a faltering Fremantle side. I do think this will be relatively close for parts of the game, and then I think Gold Coast will blow it out eventually. So I expect this to be another big win for the Suns. Carlton last week showed up on time, but the 3-quarter thing lasted. They left the game early. Somehow they still won though. This week, they might not even have to show up at all. They might not have to worry about playing this week. I will go through the tip anyway. I think Carlton will win if the game against Essendon is played. For one, Essendon are almost certain to lose like their first choice back line. Judging what I've heard from the McKenna incident, that whole breakthrough story, I don't actually know what's going to happen with coronavirus. I might make a video on whether hubs should be back soon. I might make a video on the impacts of McKenna's testing to coronavirus. I might do a video on that later. But for this video, look, I think Carlton will beat Essendon because they've lost their first choice backline at the very best. They might lose even more players. And the other thing is, psychologically, Essendon will be down psychologically due to what's happened. They're not going to have any proper preparation. They're in a bit of a mess right now. So if the game goes ahead, then I think we could almost say Carlton will be getting a near free win, which isn't really usual for Carlton. Sunday afternoon at the Gabba, Brisbane versus Adelaide. Okay, we can just say Brisbane, obviously, home ground. Adelaide playing like crap right now, don't want to play. Brisbane beat the Eagles, beat Dockers. They're playing at Gabba in front of 10,000 fans. All right, next one. Sunday afternoon at the MCG, Melbourne versus Geelong. I think Melbourne might give a scare to Geelong, but I just feel that given they didn't play last week, I feel like Geelong will win just because, one, Geelong will want to bounce back from that horror loss to Carlton, and two, how's it going to play on Melbourne psychologically? They're already a vulnerable side. So I would have tipped Melbourne, to be honest, if they played Essendon last week. I would have tipped Melbourne, to be honest. But, yeah, I think Geelong will bounce back against a vulnerable Melbourne side. And lastly, at Marvel Stadium on a Sunday night, Hawthorn and North Melbourne. I think Hawthorn will win. They showed a lot of promise against Richmond. They beat them convincingly. North, on the other hand, couldn't beat a young Sydney side. They're very hard to get a read on, but I think if Hawthorn, if they bring that performance against Richmond over to Marvel Stadium, then I think Hawthorn should be able to win comfortably. So, the teams I am tipping this week are the Western Bulldogs, Collingwood, Port Adelaide, Richmond, Gold Coast, Carlton if they play, and then there's Brisbane, Geelong, and Hawthorn. Now, some of those tips might change. I had to do an early video to get this out quite early, so some of these tips might change, particularly the Sydney one, both Sydney games and the Melbourne-Geelong game. Those are the ones I want to look into further. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. Please comment what you think of the video and who you think will win for round 4. Please subscribe. Please give this video a thumbs up. And check out some of my other tipping videos and tune back in next week for my next tipping video. Although I might make a video on potential hubs. I don't know. I'll see. It won't be out till Saturday though. If I do it, I don't know. I'll see. But anyway, I'll see you in the next tipping video. I'm definitely sure about. See ya.